Welcome to the Awakening Entrepreneur Podcast. This show is for entrepreneurs that have chosen to define their life beyond the material. They have followed their soul on a hero's journey towards the mystery of the spiritual. I'm your host, Garrett Ng. Each episode will be learning from awakened entrepreneurs and spiritual thought leaders. They have broken through the mold of being ordinary to extraordinary, challenging our paradigm, shining lights to the dark, giving hope when there is doubt. The moment of truth is upon us. It is time to transcend our world from fear to love. Are you ready? Let's go! Welcome to this week's Awakening Entrepreneur Podcast. The Awakening Entrepreneur journey is so interesting to me. And so far we've interviewed guests of all different walks of life. And what I find it really interesting is that at each stage of the awakening journey, there's uniqueness and beauty in it. It's almost like a plant that's from flowering to when it's bare. At every stage has so much beauty. And I met this lady just probably over like 18 months ago at the beginning of her spiritual awakening journeys. Actually, it's pretty much at the beginning of mine as well. And just seeing how she just flower and blossom from the beginning to now, I just really wanted you guys to be able to share in this journey together as well. I'm sure one day she'll be writing a book or doing a movie or somehow to tell you about her adventures. So some of the highlights that we'll be sharing is from Suen, is a dear friend that I first met from Tony Robbins Platinum Partner at one of the events in Singapore, Wealth Mastery. And the highlight we wanted to encapsulate in this podcast is that challenges in your life is actually a blessing. So Sim's gone from a 10-year relationship breakup, from something that was heartbreaking and making her feeling quite lost, a redundancy from her work, to finding the blessing in that. She'll be sharing her journey in this podcast, but that also helped her along the journey from being lost and not aware of there's a connection to the universe, to the divine, to the creator, to now with the understanding and the knowing that universe always provides, shifting her from unconscious to conscious. And the signs that she's been getting from the universe is almost like the book that I've talked about, the Celestine Prophecy, or Gabby Bernstein's book, The Universe Got Her Back. She's like a living version, the Asian version of it. Throughout the last 12, 18 months, she's learned from Nassim Haraneim, from Dr. Joe Dispenza, from Guru Singh, to being a Gong Bath teacher. And her goal is to using Gong Bath to heal thousands, starting from Hong Kong, before she transcends around the world through her gift. And what's going to be really interesting is that she's still deeply rooted in the first structural form, the masculine energy of the banking industry, but yet she's shifting towards the other side of her in the feminine form of the spiritual side. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Welcome, Sim.
Hello. Hi, Gary. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for the introduction. It is such my honor and blessing to be able to have this conversation with you. Thank you very much.
Man, I remember like when I first met you in the event in Singapore, you came late, maybe a day late, but then you're full of energy, joy, and happiness. When you walked into the room, you had this radiant energy, happiness energy. I didn't share this with you until now, but that's why I wanted to get to know you when the chance naturally presented itself. And I remember like walking around with you. You were searching. At the time, you're thinking you're searching for a new vocational, like a new line of work. But then like I think you went on a spiritual trip and universe just kind of led you into this rabbit hole, this adventure. So tell me about it.
Yes, it was a really interesting journey. It's a very long, but I try to make it at a reasonable time. So start with that event. So in that wealth mastery, it's talking about wealth and how to grow wealth and build wealth. And at the time, my focus is to, okay, what's my career? I've been working in banking for 15 years, and it gets to a point that, so what's more out there? What, apart from making money, what's more I can fulfill my life? So I start to go on like Tony Robbins, start to Platinum Partner. I want to completely immerse myself to discover who I really am, what I'm capable of, apart from the conventional life, and see what's more out there and meet more people. Because one thing I realized, even though I began Tony Robbins' journey, which is in 2019 February, Unleash the Power Within. That was like, whoa, profound. I found my people. That was like my biggest takeaway.
We both have a commonality. We're born in Hong Kong. And if you don't know Hong Kong is almost like money is more important than oxygen, right?
Yes, I think it's because having my parents, they're immigrant from China to Hong Kong, and they went through some hardship when in their upbringing. So they just naturally want to make sure the survival and you have a good life and then fight for a good future. This is the mindset that we were brought up. So having a good job, having a good university degree, and get married at a certain point, have children, that's set pathway. It's part of our upbringing. But I think it's more than that. Having a group of people think outside more than just money is like, I find you. That was really cool. And I think the other beauty is in the Tony Robbins event in the first day, because kind of people jump around, and I thought I'm being skeptical. What are you guys doing? And then after like a morning, then I just like, look, if I'm doing it, I'm doing it 100%. Then I dance and I like high five, hug everybody. It was really good. So then I bring back to Hong Kong. There's luckily we have Ryan in the group in Hong Kong, the Tony Robbins community. He brought like a lot of people from Hong Kong, went to the events that we create a community in Hong Kong. So Tony's always says you have a sustainable environment, that you choose who you hang out with. So I start to become conscious and also naturally just pull to those people. And so my circle of people that I hang out with changed so much. So that was a real blessing, changed the environment. I think I sidetracked a little bit.
You're talking about the beginning of your journey to the Tony Robbins and the spiritual.
Yeah, and let me think. So, when I first met you, I think it's in 2018 October, and my focus is what are other career apart from banking I can really use my potential. Because since the age of 12, I've been doing volunteer work. Either it's Red Cross and go to measure blood pressure for elderly. I go to mental disabled hospital to play with the children, and go to orphanage home in Hong Kong to just bring the children out. Since the age of 12, I just naturally pull to those events. So I know my heart is in those places. But ironically, I choose study economics and finance in university, and I chose the banking job because I want to stay in that comfort box that everybody goes. That's easy. But as after 15 years in banking, I thought, I want to do things that is more heart based. So I start to search and then looking for other career options. And that's the time I start to go inward, who I really am, and then discover I have a lot of love to give. Then you doesn't have to change your career path completely. You can just find every little opportunity in my life's environment and then give love. Give just a word of inspiration to your coworker. If my coworker feel nervous in meeting, in presentation, then I would like secretly send her a text. You're doing so well. People love you. Just a little push, and then give them the comfort and reassurance. This is the little things that I can do to show my love to that individual and also to the world. And just a smile to strangers, just a tap on the shoulder, say thank you to cleaning lady. Every little things, even just a thank you to the trees that I walked past. And when yesterday the weather was so nice, then I said, thank you, universe, for giving me a beautiful day. Just having that hearts of gratitude. So that's such easy things and things that makes me happy. So I still haven't get to my journey. I
So
think
you
so.
obviously you
So
weren't like this before, and there was a stage, hey, like how do I make money? Yeah, I want to transition away from banking, but it's still like how do I make money? How do I find a relationship partner? What are external stuff that makes us happy from our programming? So what started shifting? What do you recall as some of the first shift in you?
so I think my awakening journey, it's very gradual. I feel like aha moment, but it's started from signing up to Platinum Partners in Tony Robbins in 2018 May in Day with Destiny, because I make the decision to give a present to myself. If I'm going to invest, I'm going to invest in myself. That is one of the best decisions that I've ever made, even though it wasn't cheap. But then the journey, the people that I met, the insight, inspiration was absolute profound. Since then, so that was a spiritual trip. One of the platinum trips that I went is in Abu Dhabi in India. I think that really turned my life into a very different directions. Because before that, I was still thinking, okay, focusing my career, is there other career that I can do? But then in that spiritual trip, which is in October 2018, there was a complete immersion about consciousness. I met Nassim Haraneim. He's a scientist using scientific way to explain energy and consciousness. That was like, to be honest, I couldn't really rearticulate the stuff that he talks about. It will be so injustice to his work. But I was thinking, wow, it's actually explainable. Somebody. We did a lot of blessing, chanting, mystical. It was just, wow, my life is, there's so more out there and I feel so much connection. And then we went to India. I can really feel that after the heart's opening and this connection, particularly there was a really special blessing event. It's interesting that during that blessing event, there was about a few hundreds platinum partners there, and each of us go up to. There was about 10 people that they can give blessing to us, and so we lined up and then just wait whoever's available among those 10 people. There are Tony's, Sage, I think there are a few other trainers, Scott's, and Mastico. So at my turn, when I go to that front, somehow Tony and then Sage, they're available. Then I can choose who I walk up to. And oh wow, I want a feminine. And I was thinking, oh, Tony's the big guy, so I want Tony. But I thought I also want Sage. Sage is the feminine power. I want Sage too. And then so the universe made that decision for me. There's a person just walk up in front of me, not knowing me. She just walked up to Tony. Then I said, okay, then just naturally go to Sage. And that was really powerful. So she touched my head, then I feel so much tears in my eyes, and our hearts is really connect. The divine connection was really there. That was super, super, super special moment. And then when we went 2 days in India, in Varanasi, one of the very spiritual place in India, and we went to the GNG River. And in that place, our hands, my body felt a very special sensation. I think most of the people in that trip felt that. And even in the airport, then I feel, wow, my hands are tingling. It just feel it's in our hand physically in this like three-dimensional world. That was really good. So that's like changed my directions. And since then I start to look what's more out there. And then somebody recommend Dr. Joe Dispenza. And then I just go all in. But there was also a reason, because I broke up from the 10 years relationship in 2017, because I really love to have a child. It's such a privilege of a woman or a man to have a new life that you can love 100%. But I know this is a little bit of a limiting belief, because not only your child, we can love anybody with all our hearts. So this is the awakening insight I have. But at that time, I want to have my own child one day. So I went to freeze my eggs. I went through the procedures. And during the procedures, I realized I need to change my health condition to better. So somebody recommend Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I want to change my physical condition. And a lot of miracles has happened in Dr. Joe's events. People saying that even though they are on a wheelchair or have eyesight problem, miraculously heal during those 7 days retreats or continue doing his work. I said, that's for me. I am going. So I just went. I just show up. And the thing is that his events are so fully booked all the time. But I know that there's a timing for me. So I just signed up to the soonest event, which is in Bonn, Germany in March 2019. I was on the waiting list. And somehow I just effortlessly got in. Then I meant to be there. So I show up and then have a profound experience. My biggest takeaway is you have a clear intention and you have elevate emotion, as in you really feel what your desire is. So combine two information, then you send a signal to the universe, then it changed this like three-dimensional world for you. I was also very lucky because I really know that the universe always provide for me, because I was quite left brain. I need proof to show me it really work. There was in that Germany event, out of 1,500 people, there's only 10% of people got selected to have kind of a brain scanner to show what's your brain activities before meditations and during meditations. So I was lucky enough to be chosen to do that. So I got a report and show me, oh, during meditations, your four brain activities like this part is very active, that part is like in theta, that part is in gamma, that part is in alpha. So I have the scientific report to make me convinced even more. So Dr. Joes is another profound teacher that in my life. And then what happened is I was working in a bank, American bank at the time. Then opportunity to move to Singapore. That was in April 2019. I raised my hand because I want to, let's start something new. Let's move away from Hong Kong to a new city and then reinvent myself. Let's see what happens. So I talked to my boss, and then I went to Singapore looking for properties, a place to live, then sort everything out. I was so ready to move. And then what happened is I kind of feel that, how come it's not happening? There's some approval just haven't happened. Then I can just sense something is going on at the background. There was one morning I walked to work because I live in the countryside. So there's birds singing, there's trees everywhere. That's my path to take the bus to work. So I asked the universe, please give me a sign. Am I on the right path? Please show me a ladybird if I'm on the right track. And then about 2 p.m. in the afternoon, in the office, I saw a colleague from Tokyo that he's happened to on a business trip. And I say hello, and then he turns around. At the back of his shirts, there is a ladybird print on his shirts. I have never seen any guy have a work shirt has a ladybird print at the back. So I was so clear than ever. I'm on the right track. The universe is talking to me.
Can I just
And
share
then,
this with you?
yeah,
When we started doing the homeschooling thing, which evolved into unschooling and cosmic schooling, but as you know, like Asian culture is go to school and your academic is a big thing. So to go homeschooling is unheard of within our circle of friends and family. Especially for my wife, it was extremely challenging. A lot of the wives, with the best of intents and family questioning her, like, hey, when are you going to send the kids back to school? Or how do you know, like, are they doing their maths and all this other stuff? And during our road trip on New Zealand, I shared it with her. You can ask for a sign to tell you whether it's on the right track. Like, she didn't tell me what she asked for. And then one day when we're staying at one of the Airbnb and she's folding clothes, and a ladybird just suddenly flew out of nowhere when she's folding the kids' clothes. And this never happened to her. It just so happened that you asked the ladybird for a sign as well. Subsequently, she saw the ladybird quite a few times. But that event gave her a big tick of confirmation this is the right track.
what a coincidence. And now we are talking. That's, yeah, no coincidence. Thank you. Yeah, so Ladybird. And the reason why I chose Ladybird, I did put some thoughts into it. I want something I won't see very often. And to be honest, after that Ladybird, I haven't seen another Ladybird since then. Universe is talking. And then, so that was like 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And then at 5 o'clock, then I got a call from HR and asked me to a room and say, oh, so I got a global boss on the phone and say, well, your role is being made redundant and thank you for your service. And this is like, da, 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 da. And I was like, wow, thank you, universe. The universe has preempted me. Just give me the comfort. This is okay. This is the right path. So I was like handling that conversation really well, and no resentment whatsoever. It's thank you. So I meant to do something else. So that was the biggest moment to that the universe is talking to me directly. And since then, and how I dealt with that identity crisis, because a lot of time redundancy can also represent failure or not good enough. It can be a trigger. That's why me? Lots of questions. So, but it's a blessing that I went through so many Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, and many other events to find my identity. I just meant to do something else. That's all. In that environment, in that time, my vibration is not same anymore, so I just moved on. But still I was having a big cry in the taxi home. I need to release that. And then I went home and told my mom and dad and say I got laid off, and then cry. And they are like so cool. They said, who cares, you don't need to work. Well, I do, but I mean my dad just said to make me feel comfortable. So and then just come for dinner, that's fine. And then so we just like, okay. And then at that night, I need to change my state. I need to look forward to something instead of living in the past. The events already happened, so let's just move on. So I start to write down a list of things that I always wanted to do, but I didn't have time to do it. From that moment, I am very looking forward to what's happening next. Instead of feeling sorry for myself, like identity crisis, I am very happy how my state changed so quickly. It's a blessing from all the preparation in the past. And then so I make it a project. I make it an embracing uncertainty project. For I give myself 6 months before I find a job, because I also still need certainty in my top 6 human needs. I used to be, my top 2 needs was certainty and loving connections. Since that moment, I actively change it. I want uncertainty to be higher. I want to embrace it, because the more we embrace uncertainty, the better quality of life can be. So I make a point to let's embrace that. I decided to go on a holiday, an adventure, not planning anything, to just see what happened. And it turns out to be lots of amazing things happen effortlessly. I think effortless is the whole point, because there are too many options. I don't know where to start. Then I asked my friends, because I do a lot of volunteer trips. And I asked that group, because they love travel. I went to Sri Lanka and Nepal with my friends. I asked them, what is the best way that I can save money and in travel have the most fun? One of the suggestion is try couch surfing. It was so out of my comfort zone, because as a girl, okay, go live in a stranger house. You don't have your own room. There's no privacy. There is no certainty of who you're gonna meet. Is it safe? But I have reassurance from a lot of my girls' friends that they have tried it. It works. So let's give it a go. But I started with a safe options. I went to Portland, my friend's house. He is like, his family just so loving and welcome me. Just come and stay. And as long as you want, you can find your clarity by staying there in Portland, in the countryside. That was so beautiful. And then things just started from there. My friends, Stephen, he's a respectable mentor I have in Hong Kong, the Tony community. He went to a Dr. John Demartini workshop before, and it was amazing. And so I find, okay, where he's doing next events. So now I have all the time in the world, where when I still work in a bank, I have the limitation of 25 days annual leave a year. I have to be really careful of choosing what seminar to go to. And now I can go to as many as I want. So I show up in John Demartini's events. It's a 2-day breakthrough experience. Amazing. The best takeaway is we don't need to put anyone in pedestal, because the quality we see in them, we also have it. We may not be as polished as those people, but we have those quality. We just need to cultivate that. That is like bringing me up. And then also to see more clarity, see more truth in others. When we pedestal somebody, then but they also have flaw, and we embrace them, then I start to embrace my flaws too. That was like super cool. And because Dr. John Demartini's event, it's in a Ritz-Carlton in a five-star hotel. So that was pretty expensive. And during that 6 months, I want to control my budget. Then I thought, so I spent a lot of money on that. Then let's save money on doing couch surfing. Let's just neutralize that. And I had my very first couch surfing experience. I create a profile. I don't know, have you done it, Gary?
No, maybe when I passed up from drinking in the past.
Okay, that's cool too. So how it works is there's a website, couch surfing. So you create a profile, so you write information so that the host would know who you are and allow you to stay with them. The host also has a profile, so I just choose the period of time that I want to stay, 3 days in Denver, and then look at the profile, and then okay, this person seems to be like decent, so okay, I apply. Then I send 8 requests in total. There's only one person respond. Okay, that is meant to be. I suggest that, so he sent a message and say we can meet at certain place, and then he can come pick me up. But I was being skeptical, and it's my first time. I said, let's have a conversation so to align our expectations. So because I don't want it to be too weird. But he was busy working, so we can't have that conversation. But so let's just meet in such coffee shop. I show up. So even though I went on a backpacking trip, but I still have 2 big suitcases. I may go to somewhere cold, so I need a winter boot. I may go hiking. I may go to a beach. I need a swimming pool, swimming clothes, and hats and sunglasses, etc. I have everything ready. So I show up with 2 big suitcases. I walk to the coffee shop, the cashier, and I said to that guy, I'm meeting my host the very first time. Can you help me? If anything's wrong, then I will go to that cabinet, and can you come and save me? Take me somewhere. And he's like, okay, no problem. So the girls and guys behind the counter, they are like helping me and watching me. And then the host show up, Thomas. Then he was decent, and then we have a conversation. It was fine. So then I just like, okay, then I follow the host and go to his apartment, which is just right upstairs, next to the coffee shop, and wave bye to the new friends sitting behind the counter. And it was so decent. He was very respectful, and I have my own space. He locked his bedroom door when he go to bed. He probably more afraid of me than I worry about myself. And I am super enjoy intellectual conversation. And he happens to be a PhD of a few other things. I can't remember. He's just like, sorry, Thomas, if you're hearing this. So I know that you have a PhD in some about like aviation or some kind of a physics degree. So he is like super intellectual, super fun to have conversation with. And so I just have a really safe and comfortable 3 days staying in my couch surfer's house.
Does it cost money?
No, I don't need to pay anything. So the accommodation is free, and the purpose of this couch surfing is to encourage, if you want to meet new friends and understand different culture, then that's the way to do it. And when you go on to somewhere else, the host can like also stay with like other hosts in new location. But as a gratitude, I cook a Chinese meal for him, and then that's it. So it's a really generous act. And it's also a really good ideology of you abundance. You have a place, so you share with someone else. And in turns, the universe will provide something else for you. Yeah.
It's unheard of to me in the modern society, but I think some of the limiting beliefs that we have with the programming that this world is not safe, is largely exaggerated by the news and a lot of the things that goes on. There's certain religion, I forgot whether it's Islam or some other things, that before the Western influence, when they study history, and there's no police and a lot of these things, there's no crime. So there's once upon a time, I believe that there's such community and tribes that these things is non-issue. It's a given that you can trust each other, you can share stuff, you help each other as the nature. But just the way that our society has eventuated, that we've chosen to be a lot more standing guard and to protect ourselves, and with good logic. But I think like with what's happening here, logic may not be at the next move that we grow in our human consciousness and where we go as a human species.
Yes, and I think it's also related to, like, it's a belief system. And if you choose to believe, okay, I am protected, it's kind of sending a vibration that I'm safe, I'm protected, I'm comfortable, I'm relaxed, I'm harmonized. So that is a higher vibration. And in my belief, if I keep my state in a high vibration, then the low vibration events won't happen to me. So I think that having that belief helps. That was also my mindset. Why just go into the couch surfing, even though it's a lot of people actually done it, and a lot of people would probably just go in without so many questions. But for me, it's a conscious decision, and also the belief that I'm in high vibration state. I'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think like it's part of the awakening journey. One of the biggest influence on my journey, especially in the beginning stage, is the book The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. Because there's so many times that logically, especially our identity of who we are and what our belief systems are, it just doesn't make sense. Why would I do this? Whether it is not safe, it's not logical, it's not smart, it's not intelligent based on our beliefs. But there's a voice inside, and there's this energy, this foresight pushing us, to guiding us, go this direction. And eventually, when you surrender to it, you're allowing space for the universe to prove to you, see, this is why it's a better decision. But if you don't surrender to it, you're always in control. You're giving no room for the universe to come in. Even if you have success in business, or that situation worked out, well, you would think that I did it. My ego self, my identity of who I am, Gary, Sim, we did it. And instead of thinking that we are so defined, this is just one aspect of ourselves. But if we connect to our higher power, our higher consciousness, there's so much more to life. When you talk to the trees and thank you, the universe, is amazing. One way of framing is, if we don't let go of certainty and embrace uncertainty, or in Michael Singer's terminology, if we don't surrender, if we don't let go of needing to control, it's just like at our home, we could set up more security cameras and other stuff, but yet I know that our home is protected by the universe. That, what greater power could that be? Because whatever security alarm that you set up or security system, if someone really wants to break in, they'll find a way to break in. But if the universe is protecting you, if God or creator or divine something is greater to protect you, and obviously science is starting to catch up to prove that, from what you just say, focus on the belief and what you want to create and manifest, versus the fear. What if this happens to, what if it happens to me? Hey, maybe I need to lock the door and someone is going to come in and rob me. And that will also become a self-fulfilling prophecy as well.
Exactly. So one of my greatest teacher, Luca, I went to his healings training. So he said that, which is really cute, really great. So the universe has a plan for everybody. If I'm meant to meet you, Gary, then somehow he will plan a path that we will meet at certain point. For whatever our free will, if we miss that point, the whole GPS will recalculate, and then we will meet in the next stop. We will definitely meet if we meant to meet. That was absolutely that. I do believe everyone we meant to meet, and is another belief that it's a message that we meant to hear from them. My old primary question is, what's the lesson? I'm still having that at the back of my mind. So having this conversation with you right now, what does that mean? What's the lesson? What am I supposed to hear it? So, yeah,
Yeah, I'm the same
that's
as
really cool.
well. At least I used to be. It's like, wow, like what does this dream mean? Like meeting this person, what does it mean? But now that I just know that everything has a plan. It's almost like rather than looking at the next episode of the TV show, like spoiler alert, what's going on, and I'll just wait for it to show me. I'll just wait for the next scene to come up and just expect the unexpected, expect it, wow. But regardless of what it shows up, it's there to work for you, not against you.
Yes, absolutely. And also, like having the patience to let the path unfold in front of us. I'm learning the idea of detach from the outcome. Because I'm single and I'm meeting people and detach from the outcome. And then don't get attached on the outcome because it just make myself feeling less be myself. If I have an outcome, a desire that I want to have, then I kind of sell a little bit because, okay, I want to get married because I want to have children. Now I decided I committed to be 100, become myself. And the right vibration person will show up when it's the right time. So that's like free me completely. That was so good.
Mm. And what if everyone is your life partner instead of just one person? And I'm not saying that's the reality, but this again is some of the programming beliefs that we think that love is a certain way. But like what you said, like having your own child is what we've been programmed. A happy family is husband and wife, and then kids. But with a
Mm.
happy family, it's like, what if you have a whole tribe of people you're living amongst, and all of them are so loving that you couldn't ask for more? Everyone's helping, kind, and sharing with each other.
Yes. You know what? During my embracing uncertainty adventure, my friend told me about the ayahuasca experience she had. I was so tempted to do it, but I just haven't had the right person, right event show up. And then what happened is after the Denver serving the couch serving experience, I went to LA. My dear friend hosts me, and then he happened to has a ayahuasca ceremony arranged. I thought, what a coincidence! Let's just do it. And so the universe is it's putting it in front of me. I cannot do it, so let's just do it because I do have a little bit of reservation. I never take drugs, even smoke in my whole life. So I just jump right into it. So let's see. And my question to Mother Ayahuasca was, where's my true love? And what I got the insight was, during that process, I felt so much love from every single one. There was about like 12 of us in that group. I felt so much love from that moment. Then my answer was, true love is everywhere. That was profound. And the other interesting thing happened is, so in the internal vision during the ayahuasca, I saw a wolf that looking right at me with the mouth full of blood. I wonder what that is. And then 2 days later, I got my friend's dog. We were playing, and maybe I just scared him. So I got bitten by a dog. So it's nothing bad, but I never got bitten by a dog in my whole life. Then I thought, wow, what are the coincidence of the sign of what ayahuasca gave me? Ayahuasca experience was just bring me to a different level.
And you talk about the awakening experiences, as much as stuff that we can learn intellectually from books, from seminars and stuff, but nothing like going to an ayahuasca experience or any of the plant medicine. From my limited experience, yes, you can go into dark room, you can do trance dancing and breath work and stuff, but ayahuasca is one of the fastest and quickest way to help you transcend the physical dimension and to actually go to what all these people talk about oneness and one love and you are one with everything. Before it's just like a theory, but now when you can experience something else, which if you haven't experienced it, you may feel like whoever's sharing it, these guys are hallucinating. And maybe you hear stories of people go on trips and other recreational drugs. These guys are kind of doing the same thing, but it's like I'm same as you. I've never taken any like drugs or even smoked cigarettes in the past, but this world is so real, whether you like to call it a hallucination or not, but it's so real. It really challenges your paradigm. This reality, this waking reality based on what shamans are teaching and versus the other dimensions that we travel to, It's just one aspect of it. During the ceremony, I don't know whether you felt the same, but it feels like that, all this like physical dimension stuff, physical reality stuff, it just doesn't matter. There's so
Mm,
much more to life. At times I may have like snot all over my face and I may be like swimming in puke or whatever, but I didn't care. And you just know that this is just a body. Your consciousness is like, you can't even put a number 1,000 times. It's like infinite times greater than just this human experience. And we are part of that. This is just for us to, a container for us to experience the duality and taste the food, taste the durian, and have conversation and feel like what it's like to play in this game of life, this human form.
yes. And you so rightly point out, I kind of become more aware that I am become an observer. And from different courses like pranic healing, shamanic healing, I know that the soul, the higher self is here. And then I am not my body, I'm not my mind. I am a soul. So I am a soul that like observing my behavior, my thoughts, my emotions, and how I interact. The more I become an observer, the more awareness I have. And then in this dimensional world, then I change my day much more faster. And I catch this empowering thought, for example, and feeling not good enough. Then I get triggered. When I get triggered, like there was not so good conversation happen. Then I realized that why do I have this emotion? Why do I feel angry? And then so because I'm aware I'm angry, therefore I don't feel angry as much. Then I actively find a way. So I have a river cleansing sister that we do a call with each other every day. Thanks to Wiley Athena Sisterhood, it's a daily exercise that two people you just vent. You give your space and you hold the space for each other. That my topic is anger, and I just go on and on and on for like 3 minutes. And then so we wrap up with gratitude, what we decide and what we brag about. So I'm aware I'm angry. So I know that I need to do this process to let it out. I want to let out of this emotion, that energy from my body. So it's like, wow, having that awareness is amazing. I so much want to do the ayahuasca again.
Yeah. And you talk about being an observer. Again, for those who haven't done it, it's almost like you've got your mind, your logical mind, your awareness. There's a process we go through, almost like going through this tunnel. And in that tunnel, it's shaking off your consciousness. And as soon as your consciousness, like I was thinking that, hey, what could I take this experience back and reshare it with my friends and so they can understand what I went through? As soon as I start to put a framework on it, it shakes and morphs into something else. It's almost like a car chase. As soon as like, hey, they got us, it will quickly like morph or telepathic to jump to another dimension, jump to another space, and I'll get this whole new, hey, what is this? Oh, I'm starting to get what this is. And it'll shift to something else so that I can't even describe it. And I've got no choice but to be an observer because I can't, my mind, my logical mind, the conscious mind is still conscious of what's happening. But the logical mind that's come with consciousness, it hasn't caught up. It's still running behind. And each one of the is whatever stuff that you've talked about, that letting it go of your anger, like Michael Singer talks about some of the Buddhism philosophy, that when you're not releasing your emotions, whether it's this anger, stress, not forgiving someone, bitterness with some situation that happened, it stores in your body energetically, and eventually that would convert to physical illness like cancer or whatever other issues. And that's called samskara. So it's really great that you've got a group and a body to release these charges of clearing it each day. It's almost like we need to do a number 2 each day. And it's almost like a version of the energetic number 2 and purging out what you don't need.
It was really, really good. You know what? I just had a thought when you talk, and then the flow of this conversation was just like so effortless. And I was like getting so excited the thing that you say, and then the opportunity to talk about my journey was like make me feel, whoa, I had a good life.
You'll be a part of writing a book in your adventure. Like this is just the very beginning of it. Like people like Michael Singer and yourself, when you share it with people that's going through this journey, it helps it makes it relatable. Because Michael Singer was the first person to me that was an entrepreneur. We can all classify ourselves as entrepreneur, but in my definition, I actually have running a real company with like many staff. versus Eckhart Tolle, that you can classify him as an entrepreneur, but largely he's a speaker on stage, he's an author, but he's not like doing the day in, day out and managing like a lot of workers, at least in my limited interpretation of it. And so there's a lot of great teachers, but not a lot of entrepreneurs that's living this spiritual life. So when I heard of Michael Singer's story, it's like, wow, it's relatable. Especially we doing so much, like Tony Robbins talks about that. We do more to protect our identity than anything else. Like people would commit suicide if they feel a loss of their identity when during the GFC or Asian economic crisis, because who we are as a person have shifted. So with that, I'll start to transition through this process. It's really great to connect with other people that, you know what, that's the light, not just from one person, but another person that went through. And I've learned through great masters like Eckhart Tolle, Wayne Dyer, and all these other people, and Buddhism, Taoism. But sometimes that the philosophy to where I am at that stage is too unrelatable. They still in the ancient robes and going door to door like begging and stuff. Well, this is the real life. That how do we apply for the government grants, and how do we like pay rent? So they didn't have rent at the time. They just have bowls and looking for food. They can live in the nature, and nobody is going to say, hey, you can't sleep on the streets. So I'm sure that whether it's the entrepreneurial journey or even like being a banker, people work in the finance industry or working in the corporate, that I'm really thankful that you're being open and vulnerable and sharing your journey, because I think a lot of people will relate to that from their own journey, being in a similar position as you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I also pat myself on the shoulder to be vulnerable, because I know that even though like the redundancy in banking is pretty common every day, but I do know that people still struggle with that identity. And I choose to just be open because I committed to be true to myself so that I can be true to the world. And I want to live an authentic life so I can be free. So it's for a selfish reason. I want to be free. I don't pretend somebody I'm not, and to have that freedom that raise my vibration. It's all comes down to what vibration I want to carry as a person. I had a psychic reading, Matt, she's amazing. And in that conversation, I still ask, because sometimes I still want to hear a validation. What's the purpose of my life in my searching? And then so she has a spirit guide, and then say she saw an image that I'm in a birthday party that with a lot of I am very old at that time, and with a lot of old grumpy people. And I asked people to sing birthday song. Let's have fun. And then people still grumpy. But I was like still super happy and sing my birthday song even nobody sang. Then that was such a profound insight, which is she said that I'm able to see joy even in grumpy situation. That's I feel yes, pretty cool. Most of the time I can do that, and that's become my identity. So I can anchor that even more, and I can be the light and bring lights to the dark, or bring lights to every room. So having somebody else to kind of validate that to make that anchor in me even more. So I changed my purpose is to just be light and then bring joy to people's life. It doesn't need to be complicated. The mission can be just that simple. I experience joy, so I be joy, and then I can bring joy to everywhere. And I think make things simple is much easier than having a complicated plan.
Have you always been happy and joyful during your growing up process?
Yes, luckily I am. And I'm always been pretty bubbling. That was the way that people describe about me. But before I own myself and before I really find who I am, I'm still searching, but I think I have a better idea than I was in my teenage, in my 20, in my early 30. Uh, from people's eyes, I am always happy. So I just doesn't have that awareness. But I just find being silly and being playful and being just do fun stuff. I also have my like sad moment in the consciousness, unconscious to unconscious. One of the homework is to have a conversation with your 5 years old self. And that was a really good experience. I closed my eyes and I pictures my 5 years old self playing in the playground. And she go down to a very steep slope to touch those plants that would close when you touch it. And So I asked her, "Are you afraid?" She said, "Yes, but I still want to do it." Then I thought, wow, she's pretty cool. She's so courageous. And she was so present. She was so happy. She had no unwanted feeling. She's not feeling not good enough. She's not having any self-doubts. In that insight, I thought, wow, I was actually once like that. But as I grew up with the conditioning, with all the expectations, then I think I lost my ability to value myself and then to appreciate myself and to love myself. So now I started a new focus is to love myself and then encourage anyone to do that by doing gong bath. So it's doing gong bath. It's something that really close to my heart. I don't know why. My first experience listening to gong was part of that embracing uncertainty journey. When I was in America, I think I was in Denver. My friend Steven, he said, "Oh, Nassim is doing a resonance science retreat in Redwood, North California. So why don't you go?" And he and a few other friends, Wilson and Stephanie, they are going. Then I thought, okay, I got nothing else to do anyway. Let's just go. And then I think it's 4 days, super, super empowering. It was like I think it was like 400 something people. And they all talks about consciousness and talk about like different dimensions. And there are higher intelligence somewhere else. There's a new technology to like change energy. And then we have like morning exercise that we feel like we create water energy, wood energy, fire energy, and pass it to someone else. Then I thought, I'm in the X-Men school. This is unreal. And then we also meditate in a wood in amplifier that surrounded by 1,000 years old tree. That was just a profound another experience to change my vibration. And then, so on the last day, because I got nowhere to go anyway, I haven't planned anything. I just flow. And then on the last day, when I go to the hotel to check out in the resort, and I bump into Guru Singh. So Guru Singh, I met him in the spiritual trip in 2018. He teach the morning Kundalini workshop and then the yoga session for us in the Platinum Spiritual Trip. And I said, "Hi, Guru Singh, and what are you doing here?" So he said, "I am doing a 3 days Kundalini workshop. I invite you to join." And okay, let's just do that. So then I stayed another few days, and that was my very first time he has a gong. During the 3 days, he played gongs every day, and I felt, wow, that is powerful. I can hear the glass on the window shaking. My body is resonate with the sound that my body was shaking so much. I just feel that's my thing. I want more. So after that holiday, I mean, I come back to Hong Kong in and out. And then that's happened to be a gong training in Hong Kong. So it just show up randomly. And I haven't decided to do that gong training. And then I woke up in the day of the training start, and I just feel, okay, I feel like going. Then I said, and I call, can I still show up? And then yes, then I just went through that. And I love it so much. The sound wave from the gong is so powerful. It can penetrate through our skin and then stimulate the blood circulation. So whatever doesn't serve you will come out through that gong bath. Like, why it is a bath? Because you are surrounded by the gong sound. You are like that sound taking you to a transcendent state. Some people tell me that they see images, they feel, they remember things that many, many years ago. Then for me, I got tears. I think I got some emotional release. And the best things that is measurable is I was late on my periods for like 2 months. Then after the gong bath, that it comes. So I know that there is the physical effect on the body. I am so convinced than ever, then I'm going to buy a gong at home. I'm going to do that every day. So I got one. That's not cheap, but I want it so much.
are not like just normal gongs that you buy from eBay. Like I've experienced the gong. It's almost like it'll help you quiet down your mind because it knocks out all the thoughts, and it's almost like every cell of your body is being shaken up and waking up and refreshed. And I just bought some like random big gongs like from eBay. It's just nothing like it. You need to get some special gong that actually boom 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 boom. It's just like once you hit it, it just keeps going on and on and on and on.
Yeah, indeed. Because I got a uh 32 inches gong, which is very big, and I sit in front of it, and I just feel so connected. I feel that my gong is my lover. And I really love this idea because my gong centers me. It makes me shine. It makes me feel amazing. It makes me feel I am present. I am authentic. I can be true. So when I play the gong, then I keep having an intention. I sat nam, or I would, when I do the class, the gong class, it depends on how I feel, what people need. I am loved, I am healed, I am healthy, I am strong. So when I play the gongs, then I also put an intention so people can feel that and be healed during that process.
No, what does SatNam stands for?
I am true. I think that's my understanding. I don't know, is it like a universal answer?
I just know that it's in a lot of songs that they always have the word "Satnam" in it.
Yeah, I'm not like super really do a lot of research, but I am true. I am true. And I think it's so important to be true. I mean, not being right, it's you just be true to yourself and be true to the world. So talk about how I evolved to do Gong workshop is another gift from the universe. So during that 6 months, so I traveled here and there. I also a lot of new doors really open. A lot of doors that I even never thought of open because I'm free. So then people would want to give, and then why don't you come to this and come to that? I'll show you this and show you that. My uncle take me to like a really big event, asked me to be the MC of his business associations, and asked me to support. So I get to see stuff that is outside my world, and go to my Ningbo in China, our where my ancestor come from, my parents come from, to honor my ancestor, to like pray and put burning stick, and then to respect and honor in front of my grandma and granddad's gravestone. That was really special to me because in the last 12 months, my friends also told me, Tracy, the importance of honoring your ancestor and your past life, because we are under the same karma trees, that what we are carrying the karma from our past ancestors. So we honor them. We go to temple to pay respect. We burn the paper money to kind of give them abundance so that they have abundance ability to bless us. And I have been doing that. And also I've done family constellation, which is tap into the quantum field and then see the energy from different people. Wow, family constellation is another really good thing, because when we change our vibration, change our thought, in that family constellations, you can also see the end how your energy dynamic with your parents, with your mom, with your work, with your perfect partner in the future, and then put that in front of you as some clear pictures. So I start to, on a monthly basis, go to temple and then pay respect to my ancestor. And I have the opportunity in that 6 months to actually travel to China to go to the gravestone of my granddad and grandma. That was, I think they are blessing me and blessing my family all the time. That was really cool. And then what happened is that my friend Gretchen, then she started open a new studio. It's about wellness in Hong Kong. She said, why don't you come to do guided meditation? And I thought, because I super love it. And then in my Tony Robbins community, I always talk about it. And I guess it's just when you are so passionate about something, you show. And then people really feel a passion. And I was such a privilege that, okay, so let's do it. Even though I thought my voice is so weird, really, people want to hear my voice, but let's just give it a go. And my first session was very successful. So I bring people to do a breathing exercise and then go into their hearts, go to the sacred space in their hearts, and then give gratitude to their heart, and then find their younger self, get the wisdom from their future self, and then go deep into the hearts, because hearts is like many times more powerful than our brain. The emotion and the energy generated from the heart is the language from our body, and our thoughts is the language from the brain. So I want people, I guide them to think about what you desire. So that's the energy from the brain. And then so feel, imagine it's already happened, which is the energy from your heart. So combine both things to send that signal and change that three-dimensional reality and see what happened. And people was like tears in their eyes, and they feel so, the stage just changed. And then we do a sharing in the end, and I realized I can do that. It is actually effortless. So then I have been integrating the gong into the class, and I set myself a goal to heal 1,000 people in 2020. I went to another workshop, which is like open heart workshop by my role model teacher, Luca. He do a Awaken the Illuminated Heart workshop. He's a student of Drivenot, the person who wrote the Flower of Life book. So he takes us to the heart, and this one exercise is to dream, to find your dream and see what your intuition, what your internal wisdom shows you. And I have an image of healing thousands of people. So that's become my life mission. I don't know how it's going to happen, but let's just make 1,000 as a start this year. So I have been tracking and writing. So this workshop, I have 20 people, and then I keep adding those numbers up. So far, I have 310 people out of this 1,000 KPI I set for myself. But now in this like COVID-19, I can't do it, but I do it to my mom. So I still adding one every time I do it for her. So I love the idea of having a clarity of the mission in life. So that's become my North Star. So whatever I do, am I aligning with my life mission? And I know that the universe just provide for me, because in last November, I effortlessly got a job to work in a startup and to create a new bank in Hong Kong. And it was so effortless. Then I know that the universe give me a way to make money to support my true passion, which is to do the healing. So when I do the healing, then the money that I make, I donated to an orphanage in Nepal that I have been doing fundraising for them. So I have a way to support from a job in this three-dimensional world, and then the fulfillment of my heart, which is to make people feel belong, and then to find love in themselves.
So during the time that you're attending a lot of the seminars and going on your holiday, at any one stage that your finances dropped to a pretty low level, starting stressing you?
Luckily, no. And that was because I'm really careful on how I spend money during that. Even though I go to lots of seminars, yes, but then I save money on accommodation. There was time that I just feel, okay, let's just eat apple and nuts during the day. So don't spend money, and then you can have a nice meal for dinner. But then during the day, apples and nuts, and I just spend as least as possible. Reach out for help. I ask people, oh, can you host me? And the thing is, like, people just say, okay, you can come to stay in such and such, because they know that, okay, you are unemployed at the moment. People just already help. Like, that is another abundance in my life. A lot of loving friends that show up in my life, even though people I just met during the Kundalini Workshop. On the last day of the Guru Singh Kundalini Workshop, and we are having a goodbye lunch, and I still haven't decided where to go next. And I overheard that a person, they were talking about going to Santa Cruz to survey. I said, oh, another guy's, he said, okay, you can go to Santa Cruz, which is quite nice, just nearby. And okay, then I said, can you, if you go to Santa Cruz, can you give me a lift and take me there? So I just like got there, and then the two other people, that four of us, eventually go to Santa Cruz and have a few days holiday there. so effortless to the point that I don't need to spend a lot of money.
Wow.
So that
So
was
let me ask you another
cool.
question with a lot of the couch surfing and similar type of philosophy in staying at your friend's place. Again, from the Asian background, some of the programming that we've got, any one time do you feel like, especially staying at your friend's place in Denver for a prolonged period, do you feel like you owe them something? Like, hey, you know what? Like, I feel bad for they hosting me, and yet I've got not much to give back to them.
Yes, absolutely. You so rightly point out. I in the past I would never ask people to like, can I just stay in your place? Because I feel I lose face and it's not we shouldn't take people's advantage. And in this situation, number one, I do have an intention to save up. Number two, I do give back. Like if I got a free accommodation from them, then I cook for them, I pay for everything, all the food that I bought, and I cost minimum hassle. Even though in the Santa Cruz, my friends people went Airbnb, so they said, okay, you can stay with us. So I'm not costing extra costs of them, and I paid for dinner. So that's the way to balance my guilt of taking advantage of people, and I transform that by be joyful and be respectful and not causing hassle. That's
And
my principle.
yeah, and I think that's one of the beliefs that most of us suffer from, especially from the Asian culture that I'm very aware of. But recently, I'm keen to hear about whether you've actually, during this awakening experience, like gone to study more about the Buddhism and Taoism because of the Chinese culture. Is that when the Buddha went to door knocking and begged for food, he doesn't feel like that he is begging, like in our current perception of what begging is, as in like, I need you, please help me, like I'm below you. He feels like that I'm giving somebody a gift. By me giving that person a gift to give to me, that is the gift in itself. And if the first family he knocks on doesn't give it, oh, it's not meant to be this family's chance to give. Then he just moves on to the next one. Who can I give this gift of that they can give to me? Like, I haven't fully embodied it, but it's extremely powerful because, like, for me, it's also difficult to ask for help of any type, regardless of staying at someone's place or just asking me lift furniture. I just lifted a queen size mattress because I just felt bad asking for people to help. I have to just muscle up and did it myself. But it's the beauty that you transcended that process to embrace the gift of giving.
Yeah, I love you bring out this point because it was a struggle, and then how I transformed that was because I give a lot. One example is I've been doing volunteer work since the age of 12. I just naturally like to help, but that's still not enough to overcome that guilt. The biggest thing was in 2018. I all of a sudden I have a calling. So in 2017, the Christmas, I went to Sri Lanka, a volunteer trip, and teach English, and then do some plantation, build trees there. And I made a group of friends. And then my friend Olivia, she told me that she has a friend, Pink, that she's from Hong Kong, and it has she's kind of helped to set up an orphanage in Nepal that they are running out of money. There are 12 children in the orphanage, and in that year, they don't have enough money. They are looking for $300,000 Hong Kong to sustain for the whole year, education and food and everything. Then at that time, I thought, wow, it's not a lot of money. So if everybody just contribute a little bit, it's easily happen. So I start telling my friends in the banking world, okay, this is a place we need money, so let's donate. And then I got more questions because people want to give more. They want to make sure that it's a legitimate organization. I feel the calling to, I need to do a due diligence, a site visit properly, because to be responsible for my friends that they donate. I went there in Pokhara in Nepal by myself, thanks to Peng and Olivia that they arrange everything. So I went there, do my site visit, ask the question I need to, then I feel comfortable and confident. On the day in the airport, returning to Hong Kong. So this is another example that universe provide. And if you're doing what you meant to do, the universe really sending you help. I was sitting in the airport. It was pretty chaotic. A lot of people. There was a big, tall American. he sat next to me. So we kind of complaining together the chaotic situation. And it's like complaints actually also bond is a way of bonding. So we were saying why we were in Nepal at that time in Kathmandu. I told him that I want to do my site visit, and then I'm going to do a fundraising event to raise money for this orphanage. And somehow it just clicked. And he happens to run lots of studio around the world and run big concerts. And he said, I can help you to make your event more successful. And let me help you. I thought, okay, yeah, I wasn't really sure because it's just a random conversation. I don't know if it's real or he just probably say it. I don't know how it's gonna realize. He said, Miss Nepal Universe, she represent his studio in Nepal. I can pay for her to come to your events in Hong Kong. That should help a bit. And I thought, okay, yeah, I don't know if it's true, but okay, thank you. And then a few weeks later, which is about 2 weeks before my event, that I announced to everybody I know in my community, in my circle, he contacted me and say, oh, Miss Nepal agreed to come. Then I said, huh, is it really true? It's becoming real. So I need to make it to a little big event, because my intention was, because I never done fundraising before. So my intention is just to have a small event that my target probably raised like 200,000 Hong Kong. People just pay a few dollars, have a drink, and then that's it. But then now, okay, more people come, then I need to up my game. So I reached out to my friend Brian, that he used to have clubs in Hong Kong. I said, I need a bigger venue. Can you help me? And then he connect me with a Nepalese guy, owner of a big clubs in Hong Kong. Then he take me to see John, who's the owner, and I explained to him, this is the situation, this is why I want a bigger place, and please give me your place for free. Is again, when you have a passion, people really feel that. So he was gracefully not only give me the venue for free, he gave a drink for the night, and then his team of staff fully supports, absolutely fully supports, and they are grateful for somehow somebody from Hong Kong helping their country. So I think that's probably the turning point. And I got his team fully support, helped me to apply a visa for Nepal. I only know like 2 weeks before the event that it takes about 4 weeks to get the visa approved to have a Nepalese come to Hong Kong. I was thinking about, should I postpone the event? And my friends say, no, let's continue. You already announced to everybody. Let's just stick with that. And I use all my resources. I asked anybody know how to expedite that visa approval process. So my brother's friend, he have a conversation with me. He works there, but he's not in that department. He said, if you meet like A, B, C, D, this criteria, then you may have a chance. So help from the universe. Then I need a paperwork, the original applications form to fill up. So I call NATMA, Miss Nepal Universe, please fill in this form. And then John, the owner, his team, they somehow know somebody in Kathmandu is flying to Hong Kong that evening, 11 p.m. flight. So you need to give this piece of paper to this guy, and then he's catching a flight at 11, and then the flight land in Hong Kong next morning. At the next morning, 8 a.m., I got that piece of paper on my hand. So I walked to the immigration office, which is kind of near my bank at the time. So I walked to the office and queue at the door and say, please help me, immigration officer. This is a charity event that is for good intention. Please, any way you can expedite it. And then this is a public event. Every member of your team are welcome to this charity drinks too. So somehow it was a really nice immigration officer. So he said, okay, we'll take a look at that and good luck to your event. And then so the next day, I go to the immigration office and check what's the status. And then the next day, I check again. I was never in my whole life so shamelessly asking for help like that. And in 4 days, I got that approved. If it's not God's helping, I can't think of anything else. So that was like big task. So I asked Natma, can you bring a little bit of souvenir that we can sell, have a charity booth to raise more money? What I was expecting, just like a few dollar stuff, some like easy, people just easy to buy. And then Natma, she is so kind. Then we haven't aligned expectations because I haven't told her the price range. And so she went to a famous painter that she knows of and then got some painting. And I thought, oh my God, it's expensive. So it's gonna break my budget. The money raised will, I don't know if we can afford that. But she already bought it. Then I thought, okay, so let's just try. Because she made an effort. So somehow on the day, and a lot of like crazy help from just random. I need a stand, like the painting stand to hang up those paintings. About a month before the events, I went to art jamming, and I know the girl who run that place. She's so sweet. I just thought they must have a lot of hanger for painting, so let's just try. And she said, okay, no problem. Then she gave me like 20 of those hanger for free and no guarantee. She just give it. And I thought that is so cool. People can be so giving. And I asked a lot of my friends that come to help out to run the events. I need somebody in a charity booth, somebody collect donations, somebody at the reception, somebody play sound music for me, somebody to do the video for me, and a lot of coordination. And my friends, they just show up, they dedicated, they committed to help. It was super cool. And then on that day, during that night, so the guy I met in America, he also fly to come to help to run the auctions for me because I never run an auction. I don't know how. And he's like just professionally done. During that place, that drink is a drink, and we didn't serve food. It's also happened to be kind of the bonus season of a lot of banks. And then a guy that I haven't met for 12 years, he show up because I sent all the invites to everyone in my Facebook group, even people that I haven't met for a very long time. He show up, and then he kind of understanding the background, chat with a few other volunteers who help out in this orphanage because we have a working committee to specializing in doing fundraising for this orphanage. This is called Lights On. So he understand the background, and he said, he just come up and say, I'm gonna match every donation you make tonight. Then it changed the whole vibe because it create an incentive for everybody. And then people start to write checks, and the more money is put into the box. And that was such a blessing. And I haven't met that guy for 12 years. So he just show up. And the whole event, and my expectation was having maybe like 50 people show up. And then it turns out I have like 110 people. I expected to raise maybe like $20,000, and then we ended raise about $200. It was
200
beautifully
or
run.
200,000?
Oh, 200,000. Yeah. Yeah. So it was really a message to me that if your heart's in the right place, the universe will send help. Just ask and you will receive.
And that seems like a common theme occurrence, that there's so many of these synchronicities or miracles that just shows up. So for people that especially with what's happening around the world, there's a lot of like businesses that's being shut down and people losing their jobs or people just going through a certain crisis. And it doesn't seem like there's any miracles around them. All of this is seemingly negative situation that's happening to their life or to their business. What would you say to them? What advice can you give them that, hey, like maybe Sim just got lucky. She is this miracle attractor and she's attracting these beautiful things in her life and she's got beautiful people helping her. Maybe she got good karma in her previous life. But it seems off late to me, or maybe my whole life I haven't been lucky. So what can they do?
Believe that the universe provides, and having a gratitude mind, a heart all the time, and then look for what's the lesson, and then turn challenge it. There is something bigger for me. Whatever challenge in front of you, there is a path is gonna unfold. If it's difficult now, that means universe is building you a bigger person, that you're gonna have a bigger impact to the world. And just that. and then look joy in every single place. If there's a challenges, there's a difficult situation in your business, and there may be a calling that is there anything else it's out there you haven't seen right now. So look for the sign. Universe has been knocked at the door all the time. Sometimes we just miss that, but it's always there for you.
Have you studied Taoism, the Tao Te Ching, and Buddhism, or at least looked into it during these last 2 years?
It comes up every so often, and I think it's the upbringing that we go to. We hear so many story how the Guan Yin story in our upbringing and the karma story, but I haven't really studied that. But my set of non-attachment, it's becoming more and more in my life. So when I start to aware, I am learning about Buddhism when I was in Sri Lanka. When I teach English there, there's a local teacher. He took us to a lot of temples in Sri Lanka and show us that's the Pauti tree. And then we also went to a very big, very sacred temple in Sri Lanka, Colombo. That's to understand the story and then the history of the Buddhism. There was fights in the past, and then they have the relic store. It was like different people try to get the relic in the temple. So all this story just makes it's like a turning point. Oh, I'm interested to go to temple. I am interested to hear more about these things.
Similarly, for me, despite my Chinese upbringing, all I'm exposed to around me, it's almost like what they say, like when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I wasn't ready at the time. So despite abundance of information around us, I wasn't tuned into it. So now that I was hearing a lot of the stuff that you talked about the universe, like really, it's got your back, it's there to take care of you and it helps and support you. It's in line with a lot of the teachings of the Tao Te Ching. And the text is what? The second most translated book in the world after the Bible. I had no idea that the second most translated book, and it's written in some people say the 2nd century BC. Like, so it's even more ancient than the Bible. So thousands of years ago have this ancient wisdom that is available to us. And reading the Chinese, maybe my Chinese is not that advanced. I struggle with it, but hearing some of the translation and other people have done a great job in translating it. Wow, like whatever issues that we're going through right now or ever, that's the solution too. And it's just like flowing with the universe and stuff like fighting it. That's what the whole yin yang symbol is about. And when you flow with it, you're going to attract the magic. And it's almost like listening to this podcast. It feels like you're living in a different world, like with the crisis that's going on in the external world, seemingly like with Hong Kong, there was the riots earlier, and then obviously now with the lockdown with the virus. But again, one of the chapter that it talks about that if there's stuff on the news or whatever that's negative, don't watch it. Like just switch it off and just focus on, and even movie that portrays violence or something negative, don't watch it as well. Just really like sanitize yourself in what goes in through your mind. So I think like you really depict a loving version of what that real life living in this modern world looks like, especially still working in the banking sector and going through the spiritual journey.
Yeah, indeed. So it's interesting you already talked about the riots, the protests in Hong Kong last year. They're consciously not looking news as often. I do look at it every so often, but I try to detach from it because it doesn't create a good vibration. And it's interestingly, last year was actually a pretty challenging time for my family because my brother is a police officer. And during that riots, a lot of opinions, a lot of riots, they are so against the police. But my love to my brother, I can't do anything for him. There's so little I can do. He is front and center in the riots, doing his job and duty. I try to not put the political angle into it, but from the energy perspective, that is actually an opportunity to bring my whole family together. I remember there was one time on 1st of October, that was one of the biggest riot day that people attacking police station in other places. So I was come back from Taiwan. I was so worried, and the first thing that I did after the airport, landing in Hong Kong, my mom and dad picked me up from airport, and then we just went to my brother's house, and then we have a hug together. As a Chinese family, we don't hug a lot, but that was like a life and death time that you never know what happened. And that was very, very special, and then bring us together. So I'm very glad that my brother is safe. But every time when I see the news, then every day when I do meditations and I have him in my heart, I put a pictures of him and his wife on my phone screensaver. So every time before meal, then I send a blessing to him. I imagine him, it's protected by a white bubble and energy field that protect him from all the harms, and also send blessing to whoever show up in those process to be safe. This dimension, it's like the opposite force, but ultimately everybody is just like we are each other. So the oneness is still there. It was heartbreaking to see the separation in such strong, profound images. So what I can do is we do a lot. So we do a lot of group meditations, hoping that we change the vibration and change the consciousness as a whole. Yeah, so even when I was in, I went to Sedona, I went to Taiwan, every places that I go. So we send blessing because energy has no distance. So you know that we can send energy to someone else by putting that in our thoughts.
That was a difficult journey for me as well. For most people that knows me, look at it myself as probably a rather calm person. At that time of awakening, I still am. It's like your emotional sensitivity is heightened. So things that may not bother you in the past, like it'll bother you. So I was killing a caterpillar the other day, and it's just like I've got all this internal dialogue. Am I doing the wrong thing? But that's a different story. During that process, at first it's almost like how, and I haven't accepted it. Why? Like the senseless destruction, or regardless of which side you stand on, or you're standing on both sides, just seeing people get hurt and destruction, it just got to me. And it was only like tapping into other enlightened masters like Byron Katie and Eckhart Tolle that in some of the past video they talks about like September 11 or some of the school shootings, like situations like those that you just find it very difficult to put any logical sense to. Like when just that's random killing, how do you give it a positive meaning? You just can't. There's no reason beyond that. But stepping out of that from a spiritual side, from a grander plan beyond us being the center of the universe, it started to make sense. Again, I go back to Byron Katie that when you argue with reality that it shouldn't be like this, you get guaranteed to be like proven wrong 100% of the time. Like, because the reality is whatever's happened is happening, and it happens, and you don't know what's going to happen next. You can't control it. And I think like in line with what we talked about in the earlier podcast, it really forces us to surrender our power to something greater, because we have to pray, we have to like hope beyond ourselves, because again, whatever strategies that the police or either side is trying to apply, it wasn't effective, and there was no easy fix to things. And what can bring this to an end? Like for most people, they find it hard to imagine how is it going to come to an end. But it went through like not believing or not understanding to just accepting. And then eventually it just transcended to, I don't know how logically, but I just know this is going to help in some sense wake us up beyond the physical from a spiritual standpoint. It's almost like this capitalism model of the world that we consume and required external stuff to make us happy, whether it's a car and house and money, all this sort of stuff. We're going off the wrong track. And Hong Kong is probably a strong symbolic nature of what capitalism is and consumerism is. So come back to unite. Yes, that's the polarity of both sides fighting, but eventually have voices that's not being heard of by both sides. So it's forcing us to understand each other rather than, hey, one model is better than the next. We need to integrate everything into one. There's truth in both sides that needs to be heard. And when we do that, that's when we'll get harmony in our society.
Yes, absolutely. In my shamanic journey, that my teacher also shared that every soul comes to earth for a purpose. There's somebody meant to be bad, somebody meant to be good so that the good can learn what is right and what is wrong. Well, even though we say there's no right or wrong, but there's certain things that we just know is not loving or is loving, right? Is it harmful or not harmful? So you kind of need to have a line to draw what are good behavior and not the good what are the bad. So that is the
Yeah.
purpose for all these things happen in a
That's
bigger
what it talks
picture.
about in the Tao Te Ching that I find fascinating and very profound. When everything is beautiful, nothing is beautiful.
Yes, exactly.
And so
Exactly.
if we came here to fully experience life, including love, if we've always been loved, there's a great book, Conversation with God, is a children's book, but nobody ever did something to us for us to hate or dislike, then we can't tell what is the depth of love. We may seem the surface level that, hey, it's love, 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 but you don't know the depth when you have to like forgive someone and to still love that person and go, wow, love is so powerful beyond what I thought it was. If you have to love the other side, love the side that causes you pain or destruction or unfairness, then you really transcend love. Before, when I heard the term unconditional love, usually is you apply to your family, your loved one, your intimate partner, etc. You're right. But they say that no, true unconditional love is loving everyone. Because when you're only loving your parents or your loved ones, like they need to look a certain way, they need to behave a certain way. When you say that one day they get possessed by spirits and they change as a person, or they no longer this person. Well, it's still your framework of what that person, you still put in condition of what that person is. But what if one day that person's spirits change to something else? So fully unconditional love is what this world can really benefit from. And I'm practicing. I'm not saying it's easy, but that's the interesting part. Like as we go through this journey, if you got a little bit of unconditional love, that's perfect. But if you don't have any, that's also perfect as well, because you're playing a role and you're going through a different stage of journey, and every stage is there to be loved and respected.
Yeah, so true. And I think the unconditional love is when I become more aware, then I realize, yes, because when we felt it, when we open our hearts, then we can feel this love is really so much, so abundant. There is so much love to give and open to receive that is really everywhere. And I define my unconditional love. So I have a definition, which is some super easy to achieve. Even though I smile to a stranger, that I smile to you and hope to bring joy to you. That can be unconditional love. I'm not asking for anything back. I don't need a condition to smile to you. It's just that simple. Then I feel I'm giving unconditional love again, so I'm happy. It can be a it can be little things like that. It could be like massive. Look, yeah, I'm gonna do a thousands people healing. I can do like another big fundraising event, or it's just a little thing like pick up the trash on the floor, and so like, water in the shopping mall, then to clear it so people won't sleep. Just simple stuff like that.
I really like it because these little things are the things that build the foundation of our human connection.
Yes, my parents always say you treat others like how you want to be treated. So that's another easy belief to help us
Thank
to
you.
love someone else.
Thank you for so generously giving us your time and sharing your journey with us. If people want to learn more about your Gong Bab or maybe like get in touch with you and learn more from you, like what's the best way for them to follow you or to get in touch?
Yeah, you can follow my Instagram. It's Suen_Suen. From time to time, I'm not like super active on social media, but then that's like if you have question, I am very happy, and it will be my privilege to honor to share what I have learned so far, and I hope that would give you a little bit of insights, and
Awesome.
hopefully that can change your state.
It's amazing to hear your beautiful journey and look forward to continue hearing how it blossoms and flower. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gary, for this wonderful opportunity. I really enjoyed this chat.